him being here, waiting on him to come on, and he just got sick. He was doing therapy and he got sick. So again, we were waiting for that to happen. He's not going to come on. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. And so it's just going to be me. So one of the things that I definitely want to lead off on and start talking about is the fact that Scott Evanson still hasn't given OCP all the information. Scott's holding on to that. Scott has got in with the leadership of DOC. DOC has used Scott, and Scott's just not smart enough to know it. The leadership got Scott to come over and start participating with them. They're telling him what to do and how to run OCP. And so again, Scott has claimed that under Title 18, that there's some section that would prevent him from giving over all this information. Only Scott can't tell you where it's at in Title 18. If Scott had any concern for all his fellow employees, if Scott was anywhere about the person that he tries to pretend to be, he would give the information over. Why would he not give the information over? All he's trying to do is wreck, and that's obvious. It's obvious. Scott is trying to wreck OCP. This is his last-ditch effort to do it. He's not going to get it done because we are electing new board members. We're allowing other people that used to be retired people to join. And again, that's myself. I'm going to join and participate in that because we don't want to let Director Harp come in. Not only has he destroyed the Department of Corrections, anybody working in the Department of Corrections knows that he's been a disaster, but he's trying to destroy the association, OCP. He's tried to destroy everything, to tell you the truth, and Scott's tried to help him do that. We're not going to let him get away with it. We're going to make sure that we come out, that we work hard to create an association that's very transparent, that allows participation with the membership, stands up for the membership, stands against a tyrant type administration who only knows to threaten and intimidate people. And so again, we're standing up. We're making sure that we take things to court. We're going to court. We're winning in court. They're trying to break us by appealing everything. They have been beaten so many times, it's unreal. They appeal everything. They thumb their nose at the system and at their court. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is that I wrote a letter. Let me just read you that letter. It says, Director Harp, I've asked you to reply to provide verification of how your $90,000 pay increase was authorized. I've even provided copies of the Oklahoma titles and statutes which outline this procedure for increasing a director's pay. According to the Oklahoma laws, such raises must be approved by the Department of Corrections Board, by the Oklahoma legislator, or the governor. During the Oklahoma House budget hearing, you stated that you transferred your OMES director salary to the director's salary in DOC. I want to remind you this hearing was on recording. I requested the Oklahoma House legal staff to examine whether you could legally transfer your salary from one director position to the other. The advice was clear. Such transfers would not be legal. Therefore, I'm once again politely asking you to provide tangible evidence that you received authorization for a $90,000 pay increase. I believe it's important to document the considerable efforts I've made as an authorized elected Oklahoma State representative to obtain straightforward and rational documentation from an unelected bureaucrat. I hope you will comply with my request and provide documentation, provide that you legally obtained a $90,000 pay increase. If you fail to respond, I will be compelled to prepare a probable cause affidavit and publicly request charges be filed for the crime of embezzlement. So here's the thing. I wrote Director a letter. Now, I just need everybody to understand we have sent multiple requests over to the Department of Corrections. And I need you to get this. Director Harp he wants to act like he answers to nobody, but Director Harp is the same as any other employee. Director Harp is just an employee. He's no better, no worse than anybody else. He answers to the governor. He answers to the House. He answers to the Senate. He answers to the government. That's who he works for. And we are over the government. I am elected official. They may or may not like me. They may wish I was not elected, but they don't elect me. The people of the state of Oklahoma elect me. I am chairman of corrections. For him to completely ignore everything I've requested. So one of the things I've requested, we were in a meeting, a budget hearing meeting, and I asked the director, how did you obtain this salary? I've heard that you transferred it over. And he said, absolutely, that's what he had done. He had transferred the salary from OMES director to the Department of Corrections director. Now, that's what he said. We can go back and get the tape. Now, the thing about it is, I went and checked. I had our stat check. You can't legally do that. So now here's where he's at. He's kind of catch-22 in this. Either he lied about how they did it, or he just didn't know, or he had to get some other authorization. If he did get other authorization, then why did he say that he pulled that over? Again, it's pretty apparent he's caught in the middle of one of his big old nasty lies again. And so again, what I did, I went and got the titles. Now, I didn't just do this by myself. I went over and asked our legal to help me out. Can you pull up and show me how these legal things are obtained? How do we do this legally? I had looked. I went down there and talked to them. Hey, is this right? Is this right? They looked it up. They sent me all of the stuff. So here's the deal. I sent that over to him and said, look, you can't transfer it. So what you said is incorrect. It's a lie. So I need to know, how did you authorize giving yourself $90,000? Because, guys, if you don't authorize it, then it's embezzlement. If you just take $90,000 and give yourself a big old fat nasty raise and nobody authorized it, nobody said you can, he answers to everybody else. He can't just walk in there and say, I'm giving myself a personal raise. He cannot do that. And so there's three ways to do it. One is through the board. Another way is through the legislator. Another way is through the governor. Okay, I suspect that the governor will pull his butt out of the fire. I suspect that will be true. But again, I'm going to make them do it. You know, I'm going to make them have some documentation. Yes, the governor did it. We're all going to know it's after the fact, because he done said, oh, I transferred this. Like he can do anything he wants. He can't. He got caught in another one of, I'm Mr. Harpin, I do whatever I say. And again, that bit him in the ass. And so it's going to continue to bite him, because again, his arrogance is what gets him. And so the thing about it is, he cannot give himself a $90,000 raise. So what I've asked him multiple times, plot. Now they come back and said, we've told you many different times. So I sent them a letter back and said, can you produce me one of these many times that you've responded to me? Because somewhere I've been absent when you've responded. They have not responded. They are not telling. And again, it's not just on the 90,000. Let me give you another example. I wrote him the Monday after the incident of him shooting the floor. I wrote him and I said, I want copies showing where your training records showing you have the authorization to carry a firearm. Now, any of us have to do that. I had to go through CLEAT. I had to go through all the training, all the years and years, every year, still going through it. Every year I go out to the range. Every year I qualify. I've had to go through 100 safety classes, hundreds of qualifications. Again, no big deal. And if he did it, that's fine. No problem. But we ought to be able to see that he has the ability to carry, the ability to qualify, that he went through the proper training. Is he CLEAT certified? How you get in the building? If you're not an officer, if you don't have CLEAT certification, then how are you carrying that firearm? By what authority are you carrying that firearm? And maybe DLC has something that says if you're a special harp or a special person, you get to carry a firearm whether you don't go through anything. I don't think that's there. It never has been there in the past, I don't believe. But again, if it's there, produce the record saying, here's my coverall, I can do anything I want letter. If you have that, produce it. Otherwise, produce the records like anybody else would have to produce, like I've had to produce what I've got. Guess what? It's not an unreasonable request. And here's what I'm told. I'm told that they probably doctored those up. Now, whether that's true or whether that's untrue, I don't know. But at the end of the day, if I get the records, if I see where they were qualified, if I see, here's what I'm going to say, the cover-up's worse than the crime. Shooting the floor is an accident, okay? Trying to cover it up is what looks terrible. And then when you punish people, hey, we had a gal the other day, my understanding, fired for eating a piece of pizza off some kind of inmate group brought the pizza in, and the officer had a piece of it. Wow. Fire them. But you shoot your floor, and then you come out. Oh, it happens all the time. Well, I can tell you that's a big fat lie. That don't happen all the time. And when I was there, that'd have got your butt fired. They'd have worked with you on the pizza, no problem. But if you'd have shot the floor, you'd been, if you ain't got fired, you'd be in serious trouble. And then there's a report that he left a shotgun in a vehicle. Why is he carrying a shotgun? Okay. And if he wants to carry a shotgun, I don't care. But if you leave it in the vehicle and then tell inmates go out there and get in it, that's a problem. You know, accidents happen, no problem. I have that, no problem. But if you're going to fire people for eating pizza, then guess what? If you're going to hold that standard, you know, I'm going to fire people for eating pizza, but I can do anything. I can shoot my floor. I can leave my gun in. I can give myself a $90,000 raise, which is called embezzlement, by the way, which he may think I'm lying. I put it out publicly. And if he doesn't produce me some records, other than that we've given you records all the time, that you may say that's an answer. That's a BS answer. And if you're listening, Mr. Director, I promise you, if you think I won't write you up and ask for a warrant for your arrest, you're wrong, because I will. And now, will they give it to me? That's another question. But I'm going to tell you something. It's definitely going to be done, because I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do my job. I can't help what the rest of the Capitol does. The fact that they won't give me subpoenas for you, the fact that you hide behind that, you use your little political power to stop some of the stuff that should be going on. You may do that, but at the end of the day, I'm going to do and make all the requests I can. I'm going to publicly come out and do what I can and do what is right. And so that's what's going to happen with me. And again, you know, whether it be me asking so that everybody understands this, I ask because I want you to understand why I ask. I want to be transparent what's going on. I'm reading a national deal that says we are the worst in the nation for officer to inmate ratio. Worst in the nation. That comes as no surprise. But in this article, and I'll have to go back and find the article, I believe it's like 1 to 6. Well, everybody knows, anybody working in the Department of Corrections knows that's a joke. Knows that's a joke. It may have been 1 to 5, 1 to 6. Now, I would say if they're putting that out nationally, I'd say every state lied to them, because we were the worst at that, and others were like 1 to 4. They're lying. I mean, most states are going to be 5, 7, most likely, from what people I talk to and stuff like that. I'm just saying, I seriously doubt, you know, and 1 to 4 just going to be hard to believe. I'm sure there's some places may have it. I know, you know, I want to say a couple of states that are really big on, you know, those ratios. But at the end of the day, I would have no problem. You wouldn't hear me griping at a 1 to 6 ratio. Would not say a word if we could get to a 1 to 6 ratio. I think that would be a reasonable, even if that makes us the worst in the nation. I would be very happy with that. But that's not where we're at. DOC comes out on tape and says 1 to 15. Now, again, 1 to 15 is a little high, but I think I would be happy with 1 to 15. I probably wouldn't be raising too much hell at 1 to 15, but we know that's a lie. In fact, the communications officer, director, whatever you want to call her, came out on radio. I have this on tape as well, on radio, and said, well, we have to manipulate our numbers so that we can get funding from the legislators. What that means is we lie so we can get money. That's code for we lie so we can get money. She's on tape saying that. Manipulate numbers, that means lie. That means not tell the truth. We're going to shade the numbers so that we can get funding from the legislators. Shade the numbers so that we can get pay, so that we can get funding. And the question is, where's all the funding going? Because I'm getting reports of inmates not being fed appropriately. I'm getting reports of inmates not being able to get mattresses, toilet paper, toothbrushes, you name it. I've got all kinds of report every day. And so again, where's the money going? What's going on over there? What's going on? It's insanity, all the calls, all the information I'm getting. And again, that's the big issue. The big issue, why are we so short? Yes, nationwide, it's hard to get people, but why are we that short? And so I ask very reasonable request. Why should I have to subpoena this? I asked to say, hey, I want the records of the master rosters to show actually boots on the ground how many people are in there. Now, I will tell you that I think that I've seen those. I think I have a copy of some of those, and they fell out of heaven, landed on my desk, you know. So here's the deal. What I've seen obviously is definitely not anywhere close to 1 to 15. It's not anywhere close to 1 to 20. From what I can ascertain out of them, it looks more like from 130 to possibly even 170 in times. And again, that's considering everybody on the roster. Now, anybody that knows anything about prisons knows that you're going to have 2 or 3 people out doing different jobs. You'll have a couple out on transport. That's if you don't have any major thing happen, something happen where you got to send somebody to the hospital. You're going to have people going to court, those kind of things. You're going to have people that are in supervisory positions that aren't going to be manning a post. So again, when you pull all those people off, how many people are you left? If there's 12 people on the roster, that doesn't mean that 12 people are actually down there in the pods, working those pods. That means that you probably have 7 or 8 people working those pods, maybe 9 at the most. And then you say, okay, we have 1,700, 1,600 something, almost 1,700 inmates at that facility. Well, what does that leave you? And again, at 10 people working, that's about 170, roughly 160. You want to make it 160. We'll be conservative. We'll go 160. I don't care whether it's 130, 140, 150, 160. Anytime that you've got 100 inmates to one person, you're out of control. And that's what's happening in the penitentiary, especially at 4 of these penitentiaries. That is what's happening. And for them to deny this and for them to act like that, for them not to allow us to have access, shows you they don't want to deal with the truth. They're going to cover up the truth. They're going to have a lie. Now, they come out and said the reason, first of all, they wouldn't even answer. So let's get that right. I asked very politely and asked professionally. I know I can be an ass. I know I can be unprofessional at times. I've been told that. I send mean tweets. Okay. So, yeah, I do. I admit. And so anyways, here we come. I sent it in twice. Very respectful. Hey, these are the things that I would like to have. Guess what? Not even a response. You want to talk about rude? You want to talk about arrogant? You want to talk about narcissistic attitude? He's the guy that you can guarantee that he's the one that is all of that. So what they try to make me out to be, that's what they are. And so, anyways, we send that over there. They won't even respond. I asked for a warrant now, subpoena, not a warrant, a subpoena through our house. I have the right to ask for a subpoena. I send that. It's somehow been hijacked. The process has been hijacked. So now the speaker has to approve. That's wrong, but that's the process. So he won't approve. Now, here's what's funny. He just signed off on one on Ryan Walters on stuff, and maybe here's the deal. I don't care that he signed off on Ryan Walters. If he thinks Ryan Walters did something, absolutely. But why will he not, with all the massive evidence of what we have going on in the Department of Corrections? I mean, just look at the daily problems that are all out. Look at the people down there last week asking for, him to resign, the director to resign. I mean, come get my emails. Look at how many people are being stabbed. Look at how many people have lost their lives. Just go get the number of people who've lost their lives. It's astronomical. It's insane. And so how in the world is that going on? And so here's the thing, why in the world will the speaker not give me that? I don't know. But apparently the speaker and the director got together and had a chit chat, because they send over, not the director, one of his underlings sends over and says, you'll be allowed. First of all, they say this information is confidential, but we're going to allow you to come over and look at it. Well, here's what's funny. Either it's confidential or it's not confidential. That's a lie, or else I couldn't come look at it. There ain't nothing confidential on that. That's the biggest, fattest lie ever told. That's a BS move, and our people are going to let them get away with it out of politics. It's a bunch of bull. But here's the thing. They tell me I can come look at it. Well, I can't lay all that stuff out. It'd take days to look at that, get tally books up. I want to have people come look at it for me that have institutional knowledge better than I do. I have a lot of knowledge about corrections, absolutely, especially the overall corrections. If you want to talk about inside, outside, probation, court system, the whole 9 yards, I'll put myself up against anybody on that. Now, if you want to talk just inside the prison, I have quite a bit of knowledge. But again, somebody who's worked in there 20 years, whatever, hey, I won't pretend like I know more than them. And again, there's a person working in administration. I disagree with their methods. I disagree with their attitude. I disagree with how they've treated people. But I will tell you, they know institutional. I will not take away from their institutional knowledge. I know that they're very, very sharp, know institutions. And so, again, they have some people, but why they're doing the things they're doing, I have no understanding. But again, I don't want that stuff. I don't want to go over their office, especially the way they treat me. Hell, I'd be happy to get out of there with my life, probably. But the thing about it is, I want to have the ability to lay that out on a desk, look at it, have somebody professional come in and tell me for sure, yes, you're reading this right. No, you're not reading it right. Because I want to be right. I don't want to make up stuff. I don't want to be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to admit I'm wrong. So far, I hadn't had to do that because I double check myself and try to make sure I'm right. But the thing about it is, they come in, said I couldn't come look at it. And the reason they held out that was because that they said I leaked out these incident reports. Now, what they're talking about incident reports are the incident reports that I had on the shower situation of them locking up people in the shower. So just so y'all know, they had incident reports. So now they're admitting, oh, these incident reports were leaked. Okay, in order to say they were leaked, they must have come from, they were in there. They're saying they gave them to me and I leaked them. That's a lie. That's a big fat lie. Those incident reports went to them. I then turned around and have the writing to prove it, to say, I am telling y'all got a problem down here. They sent me back and said, we don't find a problem. Now, I obtained those incident reports through another method. It ain't none of their business how I got it, because that's my business. I don't work for them. I don't answer to them. And guess what? How I obtained stuff ain't none of their business, unless I obtained it illegally. If I obtained it, if they want to look and see whether I did something illegal, knock yourself out. I didn't do anything illegal, not going to do anything illegal, but I obtained this information. And yes, I did give it to a reporter when they denied it was happening. Now, here's what's funny. They do 100-page or so investigation, and having this information that I can tell you says they lock people up because of punishment. They withheld food. They withheld water. They didn't have bathrooms. That's what's said in these reports. And yet somehow the department magically come up, oh, no, we were just moving them. And here's what's funny, the Department of Corrections may not know this, but I actually have more than what I've released or what I've told that would tend to indicate that's probably what they're going to say. There's going to be a day of reckoning, I assure you. One of these days, they're going to answer for this kind of stuff. And again, I don't throw all my cards out on the table all the time. I keep my cards, and I put these cards out. And so now they're saying, oh, I leaked these incident reports. Well, first of all, they would have had to give them to me for me to leak them. They did not give them, therefore I did not leak. So again, them using that as an excuse to not allow me to have, who are they, these unelected bureaucrats that are supposed to answer to the government, are now telling me, nope, you can't have anything because you leaked. Nope, you can't have anything because it's confidential, but you can come over here and look at it, which shows you how idiotic that logic is. You talk about arrogance, you talk about just plumb out of whack behavior. And again, I lack a word for it. Just audacity, arrogance, swelled up ego, whatever you want to call them. That's the problem. And again, until the Oklahoma state legislature actually grows a set and starts making them answer, that's why these people get away with it. Not just Department of Corrections, every one of these agencies get away with gross misconduct, gross abuse of our dollars. And the reason they do is because we let them get away with it. Now they're after our education department because he's made them mad, because he calls them out on their BS. I kind of like that calling out, but they're after him, doing subpoenas on him. Ain't that hilarious how our government will go after one of our own people who are standing up and doing good, and yet they won't go after some person who shoots the floor, who gives himself a $90,000 raise, who has had more murders, more ODs, more things going on than anybody in the history, and probably as much as all of them combined in the history. I'd almost throw $100 out, say, let's see how many ODs you had, and let's see under HARP, have we had more ODs than in the entire history? Now, I could be wrong in that, but I'd love to see the numbers, because I'm going to tell you, I think it comes out that we've had more under him. How many stabbings? I could almost guarantee you we've had as many stabbings under HARP as you have throughout the history. And again, I challenge you, get the numbers, and the fact that you even would have to take it seriously shows your problem. Because I'll guarantee you, anybody listening to this would have to go, well, it may be. It'd probably be pretty close. Anybody hearing that, the fact that you even had to think about it would probably be close, tells you just what a train wreck we're in. And so I just want to finish up with this week. It's been probably one of the slowest weeks since HARP has taken over. One of the slowest weeks in at least a year. And so all I know this week is that we had a couple of stabbings, pretty big ruckus. It sounded like they were, word I was getting, they were shooting people with balls. I suppose now, when I worked in there, we didn't have those guns that would shoot bags, balls, whatever. I'm assuming that's what that was. I got a call saying that there was a big disruption at one of the prisons. Again, that there's multiple stabbings this week. No deputy wardens busted this week. No group disturbances, although that sounded like a group disturbance when they're having to shoot balls on people. That's kind of, I haven't heard anything on E. coli up at Dick Connors. And so, again, a little bit slower week this week. But I just want to point out to everybody, when you have to say a slow week's when you had 2 or 3 stabbed, that's when it's pretty sad, is when you say that is a good, calm week when you only had a couple of stabbings. I worked back in the day when, you know what, if you had a stabbing, it was a big deal. You wouldn't, if you had 2 or 3 out of the year, 2 or 3 incidents like that. 10 would have been an unreal year. If I can remember back, of course, we're going back 35 years, and I was in there for 20 years, so not quite 35, maybe 15 years ago when I left. But when I left, you didn't hear all of this kind of stuff, and now it's just like somebody got stabbed, so big deal. It has become normalized, and when you normalize this kind of behavior, that tells you when you're in a bad shape. So I want to encourage everybody. The thing that I want to end with is we are working to get OCP back. If you know Scott Everson, tell him how disappointed you are in him and what a terrible person he is. Because I will tell you, he has sold every employee out. He has sold you out. He sold every DOC employee out to get himself a better place and do himself a little bit of favor to the deputy warden, and behind his back, they laugh at him. I know, I've listened to them laugh at him and talk about how stupid he is. And so again, he sold you out to a bunch of people who think he's stupid. And so the thing about it is if you see him, let him know that you don't appreciate that and that he should give this information back so that we can move forward. If he doesn't, I'm sure we're going to have to legally challenge that and get that information. And so again, this information is banking information. It's our stuff to the internet and all the kind of stuff you need to run all this. He's withholding that based on what and based on why. Why would he want to withhold it? Just so he can bring down. He's never done anything right as the OCP president. He wasn't elected. He was appointed. He never had an office election. He never did any of that right. He never held the meetings right. He accuses other people of being unprofessional. Most unprofessional person I ever met in my life. And again, he sold you all out to try to get closer to Harp. Harp's trying to control him to kill this. That's the kind of person Harp is, trying to kill your association because he doesn't respect you as an employee. He wants to kill your association because he doesn't want to hear from you. He doesn't want to have an association that has strength that can actually, invoke change and hold him accountable. He doesn't like those things. He likes nobody to question him. Anybody question him's gone. He'll go after you if you question him. And that's where we're up today. We're living under a regime. So I'm going to tell you this. If you want to change that, the best way to change it, join OCP. We're going to have a public election. We're going to have a big turnout. We'll probably have a meal. We'll let people vote. We'll put it on the internet. We'll set up a Zoom or something where everybody can participate. We're talking about trying to keep that open to where people who work shift will have an opportunity to come on and see. We got to make sure that we do that legal so we can't get a bunch of people that will try to hijack the system because we can't trust them at all. But we're going to do all that. We're going to make sure that everybody has a voice, everybody has a word, and everybody knows what's going on, that it's transparent. We're going to do away with the day of Everson running over there, sneaking over to the director to try to sabotage you and try to sabotage what we're doing. And we're going to make sure that we do this thing right. Bring back OCP to where it's an organization that we can be proud of, that we can go to the Capitol and have influence, that we can have influence over our director. And again, our goal is maybe when we get this one on down the road, because I don't believe we'll ever be able to work with this one, but maybe the next person that we set up a good communication, work with them and help facilitate new laws, help facilitate raises, help facilitate the conditions of the Department of Corrections and change this. Under this one, it doesn't look like a governor is going to help us. It doesn't look like our legislator is going to help us. It looks like the only hope we have is the FBI. If the FBI steps in because of the gross negligence, the abuse, the human rights violations, the murders, the rapes, all of that going on, I hope that DOC will find that the FBI does step in and do something. I've given it to them. Now we're going to question, see if they actually do it. So that's pretty much, without Bob and me just going on and on, I can talk a little while. Y'all can see, but I'm going to shut up and we're going to end it. I just want to tell you something. I appreciate everybody who works for the Department of Corrections. I'm sideways with your administration. they need somebody to be sideways with them. But I love the Department of Corrections. I worked for you for years. I'm part of you. And again, I'm a member of OCP now. And so I intend to do everything that I can to better the conditions for the public. Here's the deal. We did away with that mission statement. Best mission statement in ever. Any mission statement I ever heard. We're going to protect the public. We're going to protect the employees. We're going to protect the inmates. That's our goal. That's who we are. That's who we've been. Stephen Hart can say that he's going to come in and make change. He's made change. It's been for the worse. It's been for much, much worse. That's the change we've seen under him. We want to go back to protecting the public, protecting the employee, and protecting the inmate. That's